Soft, melancholic piano music begins, layered with the distant sound of Parisian street noise. A delicate, slightly wavering voice begins. Oh heavens, where does one even begin to untangle a disaster of this magnitude? It feels profoundly disrespectful to the very notion of refinement, doesn't it? Like serving caviar on chipped porcelain. You see, one expects a certain standard when one deigns to bestow one's patronage upon an establishment that dares call itself a Sofitel. Honestly, the hubris. It truly is exhausting. And believe me, I've seen exhaustion. My grandmother, bless her soul, spent decades navigating the queues for potatoes during, well, never you mind that now. It's a different sort of deprivation, truly. This is the deprivation of expectation. It started, naturally, with a double booking. The sheer audacity. My mother, ever the pragmatist, she baked the most exquisite plum tarts, you know, the kind that held the light, just so always said a well-organized life is a happy life. And yet here I was, tangled in the Gordian knot of Parisian hotels. I'd vaguely, in a moment of weakness, perhaps influenced by a particularly moving Bergman film, reserved two Sofitels. The Scribe and the Baltimore Tour Eiffel. A flight of fancy, truthfully, a whim, a youthful indiscretion, if you will, and of course, entirely my fault, as though one is immune to such failings. But the response, oh, the glacial indifference. The representative, bless their heart, though I suspect it was more carbon than actual organ, simply reminded me of the cancellation policy. No warmth, no acknowledgement of my, shall we say, human error. Just a recitation of rules, as if a small gesture, a sliver of grace, would have been an unbearable burden. 800 euros they were determined to extract, simply for the opportunity to not stay there. The sheer lack of imagination, it's demeaning. It's as if they were charging me not for a room, but for the privilege of being dismissed. Do you all agree? It's just simply absurd, isn't it? I thought perhaps it was an isolated incident, a blip, a rogue employee having a particularly bleak Tuesday. Oh, how wrong I was. Let me tell you about the arrival, the utter, spectacular lack of porters. One doesn't simply haul Louis Vuitton luggage, and naturally, it's Louis Vuitton, darling. One doesn't lower one's standards across a Parisian pavement, does one? It's simply uncouth. And the concierge. Oh, the concierge. A man whose very presence radiated disdain. As if my simple request for a massage, a facial, honestly, the stress of it all was an imposition of the highest order. He waved a hand, dismissively, and declared the lady wasn't answering. It felt as though he was saying I wasn't worth the effort of receiving an answer. The lady, as if he's in a frickin' movie, how tragic. And the spa itself, a phantom spa, a shimmering mirage. They advertised treatments, spa facilities, the promise of tranquility, but it was all a fabrication. A cruel joke played on weary travelers. A spa in name only, such deceit. You should remember, always remember that customer service is an art, that is the core that creates an everlasting bond with the human race. This place does not know or get anything right. Then there's the luggage incident. 4 hours. 4 hours my bags were lost. 4 hours I spent charming the thoroughly uncharmed front desk staff, a monumental task. I assure you, who initially suggested it was my fault. As if I simply misplaced a several €1,000 wardrobe. Is that not a common sense statement? Do not ever blame the victim. I should not have to specify this. It's infuriating, honestly.
I'm looking into these crazy crimes near Sofitel, Scribe, Paris, Opra, you know. Like you'd think it's all romance and beauty in Paris, but no, there's some shady stuff going on. Businesses near Sofitel, Scribe, Paris, Opra are like super tricky, you know. They'll try to sell you anything for a high price, especially if you're a tourist. Like this one guy bought Bertillon ice cream from some retailer on the St. Louis, and it was like $3.50 for a small scoop. He thought it was a scam, and I'm like, yeah, it probably was. I mean, who sells ice cream for that much? The main Bertillon shop was closed for the summer, so this guy got ripped off. He probably felt so silly after that, like he got played. I wouldn't be surprised if he started looking for better deals after that, you know. And the scammer, they probably just got away with it, laughing all the way to the bank. And then there was this couple who went to Bertillon, and the waiter was super rude to them. Like he was dismissive and arrogant, and it totally ruined their experience. I'm like, why would you do that to people? They're just trying to have a nice time and you're going to be mean to them. The couple probably left feeling really upset, and the waiter, he just got to keep being rude, you know. It's like, what's wrong with people? And then there are these covered passages near Sofitel Le Scribe Paris Opra, like Passage des du Pavillons, Galerie Vivienne and Galerie Colbert. They're all historic and pretty, but some of the shops in there are like super overpriced. They'll sell you canvas bags for 10 or some expensive artwork, and you'll be like, wow, I got ripped off. I mean, who needs a 10 canvas bag, right? The shop owners probably just think, oh, tourists will pay anything, and they take advantage of that. It's so wrong, you know.
The landscape surrounding the Sofitel Le Scribe Paris, Opera, it's a complicated one. A shadow falls across the perceived glamour, a disquieting feeling that the sheen is, perhaps, a cleverly constructed illusion. From what I've observed, from the stories whispered by those who have ventured into the businesses nearby, a distinct pattern emerges. Businesses in this area, they operate with a certain disregard, a casual indifference to the simple tenets of good service, of honest dealing. It feels predatory, a calculated efficiency in extracting money, often delivering little in return. It's not universally true, of course, but the frequency of negative experiences, it's unsettling. It crawls under your skin. Let's begin with Galeries Lafayette Haussmann. It's a spectacle, a monument to consumerism. But beneath the glittering surface, a certain frostiness prevails. The accounts paint a picture of exceptionally rude staff, particularly within the luxury boutiques. There's a dismissive arrogance, a disdain for anyone who doesn't immediately meet their preconceived notion of a high-end customer. One story particularly troubled me: a recent graduate, traveling alone, subjected to downright discriminatory behavior by a sales assistant at the Longchamp store. Shouted at for simply touching a display bag, then confronted and accused of lying after seeking help. It felt personal, the cruelty, as though her very presence was an insult, and the manager, a complicit facilitator, bringing the aggressor back to double down on the mistreatment. It leaves you wondering, how pervasive is this attitude? Are other solo travelers, those deemed not worthy of attention, similarly targeted? Beyond the individual aggressions, a logistical nightmare unfolds within its walls. The sheer mass of people, a suffocating crush, making simple navigation an ordeal. Like trying to swim upstream in a sea of selfie sticks and designer handbags. It's a marketplace, all right, a beautifully appointed cage, and the tax refund process, an exercise in bureaucratic torment. Months of chasing, emails lost in the ether, funds inexplicably delayed. Multiple reports confirm this agonizing loop. It's less a service, more a deliberate obstacle course designed to test your patience and your wallet. And lurking amongst the supposed elegance, outright scams. A buyer warned of a switched perfume at the Le Labo stand, replaced with a cucumber. The audacity, a stark reminder that not everyone operates with integrity. Then we arrive at the Sofitel Le Scribe itself, the hotel, a name synonymous with luxury, tarnished by an alarming consistency of complaint, a fundamental failure in basic hospitality. Soundproofing non-existent, leaving guests vulnerable to the noises of the city and their neighbors. Air conditioning struggling to cope with the heat while charging exorbitant rates for bottled water. A €6 bottle of water. It feels intentional. A nickel and diming of guests, chipping away at your comfort and peace of mind. I almost felt a visceral twitch when reading about the relentless cleaning inquiries, despite a do not disturb sign. A disregard for privacy. And the cancellation policies, acutely inflexible. A man trying to rectify a double booking his own mistake, admittedly, met with cold, unyielding resistance. No gesture of goodwill, no attempt to build loyalty, just a firm assertion of their right to profit from his error. It is unsettling. It's a reminder that you are not a valued guest, but a transaction. Moving on, we have Opera Mandarin, this ostensibly a restaurant. But the accounts, they speak of a different reality, a stark contrast between promise and execution. Authentic Chinese service, one review notes with a subtle but damning inflection. Rude staff, impatient and dismissive. A refusal to acknowledge or address complaints. Reports of food poisoning. A cat wandering amongst the tables. It's chaotic, a descent into culinary disarray.
The underlying concern, a blatant disregard for basic hygiene, and the portion sizes, microscopic, exorbitant prices for a culinary experience that barely registers. It felt like a betrayal. That attempt to feel something more was dashed. Slightly further afield, Scribe, a cafe salon that, according to its detractors, systematically fails to deliver, incorrect opening hours, unresponsive staff, a general air of incompetence and